Welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, President of Performance Strategies and Diane Bogino Development. Our guest today is Lea Tran. Lea is a speaker and is the author of I Did Not Miss the Boat, Memoir of a Vietnam Hoa Refugee. This book highlights her personal struggles to overcome the trauma of war, poverty, and social isolation. Lea started her career as a medicinal chemist for 17 years and an owner of a high-end drapery business for 10 years. As a speaker, Lea inspires her audience to embrace change and to live their lives to their fullest potential. Lea, thank you for being on the show today and welcome to Business Notes.
Thank you, Diane, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, and congratulations on your first book. And could you explain the Vietnam Hoa people on the subtitle of your book?
Oh, absolutely. By the way, my book is out on Amazon, so it's available on the digital form now. So I'm really, really excited. And the subtitle, the reason I put Hoa, because not too many people actually know who are the Hoa people. Most people know boat people refugee from Vietnam, but Hoa is a minority of Chinese descent that lived in Vietnam, and we have a large community. We have our own school, we have our own business center, so it's pretty big. And I think the correct way in mainland China, they would say Hoa, which is H-U-A. But if I'm translated as a Vietnamese, it's H-O-A. So it's not a homeowner association. it's called Hoa. It's ethnic Chinese in Vietnam.
Well, thank you for clearing that up because I was struggling with that myself.
Okay, yeah, not.
So tell us some of those terrible moments on the journey when you were escaping the communists. And I don't think that boat was a luxury liner you were on. So could you describe
it's It's a beginning of the journey that will take me to the luxury line of the cruise ship. Let's put it that way. We got to get out from a raft somewhere. And that is our lifeline to get out of the communist regime. And it was an escape boat. The most terrible moment was when we start getting out to the international water, when you don't no longer see any land around you, and what you see is a vast body of water, and you feel like between you and dead is just a separation of that structural piece of wood. It was surrounded by nighttime. It was completely dark. It's beautiful with thousands of stars in the sky. I don't know if you ever watched the movie called The Life of Pi, where he was out in a little boat and by himself with a tiger in the ocean. That's how I felt. It's almost like if you see the Titanic scene at that pitch dark night, and there's nothing around you but the sounds of dead, the sounds of something that you will sink in the ocean and nobody even know about it. So that was terrifying. But the boat was still floating. So that was a good sign. But I think the most terrifying moments is when I was separated from my parents, when pirates attacked us. And they have two big ships sandwich our little boat in the middle. And they start dividing people up so they can do a better body search for gold and for any valuable possession. And I was actually being separated in a boat, and my mom is in one boat with my sibling, and my dad was in another boat with my brother. So in a split second, it was just like I was so frightened. I mean, being out in the ocean was scary, but nothing more scary than when you know that you are away from your family and you possibly not able to see them again, because we don't know what they're going to do to us after the search. They could just, kidnap the girls and take it to a remote island, or rape them or kill them or do anything they want. But I was lucky enough that after all the search and they just put everybody back into our old boats, and they destroy a lot of food, a lot of water, and there's even a hole in the boat that my dad didn't tell anyone. So it's a lot of frightening moments. But if I have to single out, I have to say that being separate from my family was the most terrifying moment.
Mm. So how did you get to America? Were you rescued
We
or?
Yeah, well, we were floating on in the ocean for days, and luckily, um, we got we saw a oil rig, and they rescue us. They didn't rescue us in the sense that they take us up and sponsor us, or they just gave us the compass, and they fixed the boat engine, and they pointed to the closest refugee camp in Indonesia. And we found the camp, and we were in the refugee camp for 8 months, and then we got sponsored by American. I have to thank Jimmy Carter. He was on his last leg of the White House, and he has sponsored all. He was allowing a lot of the people refugee being sponsored over to United States. And then after Reagan took over, things got slowed down tremendously, and we just almost missed that cut. And I was really grateful for Jimmy Carter for his humanity heart. Just so grateful.
So you didn't get to America right away then, so you spent the time in Indonesia. And when you came to America, where did you go in America? What state did you go to?
Minnesota.
Oh, so
on January 3rd.
Oh, God.
It was sub-zero degree, and coming from the tropical, almost 100-degree every day. And yeah, it was quite a drastic change.
Wow.
We all have blister in our face. Our whole lives, nobody used lotion. Not even know what lotion is or was. And our sponsor have stock up lotion in the house, and things. We never know, so nobody used it. And we went outside. Oh, the wind! It was like, so we wear ski masks, but we were, all the skin were cracking up. And yeah, it take a little while to get adjusted to the totally.
How old were you when you came to Minnesota?
I just turned 17 a couple months prior to that.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Well, traumatic. I mean, it's bad enough going through your teenage years.
Absolutely. I know. Yeah, I have all the fun. I was spending 4 years under the communists, so that was a really adventurous ride. And then refugee camps, and then trying to get my family and myself assimilate into this brand new culture, brand new word that none of us spoke English at the time. And yeah, it was definitely a I don't know what to call a high mark or a low mark, but it's unforgettable marks in my life.
Oh, well, that's for sure. And so you've also had an interesting career here. So tell our viewers about your transition from science to an interior designer, and now, of course, as a speaker and a writer.
Well, everyone have a purpose in life, right? I have a lot of passions, but the purpose at that point when I graduated from college was to make a good living, was to be able to provide the income that I can help my family. And science seems like a logical choice at the time, because I can read formula, I can I can write lab reports, and it does not require a lot of human contact or speaking or writing. So it's almost like it's a safe bet, and it's a good money field. And I didn't mind being a creative way in the framework of mixing chemical. It's a little dangerous, if you're not fully alert on that day. Work can be a little challenge because you might add the wrong chemical and boom, you know, it might explode. But after 17 years, I felt like, you know, I want to know what's outside of the fiend hood, the lab. So, and I love to sew. I love fashion. That was my a lot of my passion when I was young. Is in making clothes and interior design and doing things that pretty stuff that most of the, I mean, the girls like. I mean, I love to be the girly type of fashion, and you know, it's just fun. So I seek out to do window treatment for my home, and I couldn't find anybody that kind of meet my standards. So I went
Mm.
to the professional school and I took classes and I did that. And then my neighbor asked to help, and then my friend from church. And next thing I know, I have a slew of clients that I was doing on the side job. And for a year, I was brewing that plan, and I want to make sure that I be able to provide still once I step out. And so when the opportunity arose, when I heard about the massive layoff at Merck, so I approached my boss and say that, you know, if I'm on the list, and he's like, no, don't worry, you're not on the list. But I was like, yeah, but would you put me on the list so you can just save somebody who needs the job? So that's what he did, and I used that severance money to starting my my career in interior design, specified in custom window treatment. And I had fun on that for 10 years, and then my passion changed again. It's just because I have this burning desire of um, helping other people who've been through traumas and been through stories that they felt like is not something glory to tell. I mean, for me, I don't feel like what I have gone through is significant or anything, but it needs courage to tell the story. And I want to tell people that um, I make peace with my past. For the longest time, I'm keep thinking there's nothing significant about me, and it's just a lot of sort of like shame that I came from a background that is it's more like a refugee background, is, you know, things that society was looking at not as the toppest spot of their conversation. But I think, you know, America is the place that most of us starting out that way anyway. It may not be from our generation, it could be from our grandparents' generation, our parents' generation, and I have to start somewhere. So this is my generation. I'm going to claim it. I'm going to tell people that how we got through the struggle. Everybody can be in the mainstream America. I'm one of those examples. Um, if I can make it, anybody can make it. If a 17 years old girl didn't speak English, didn't have a penny to rub against, and can make it this far, and I'm totally happy with my life right now. I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I'm comfortable with my own skin, and I have a roof over my head, I have food on my table, and I'm able to help people who are less fortunate than me. So I think that is the happiness that you should wrap up and say that enough is enough. Sometimes I'm looking back, you know, doesn't matter how, what we have, it's still better than the hut in the refugee. It's still better than the the dangers on the boats. So I have a lot of low life, a low point in my life. So it's always good to compare that what we have here right now is a blessing, and shouldn't complain about it. Whatever we have, we should share. And that's why I want to share my story.
Right. Well, we need people like you for inspiration, and
Thank
people
you.
that know me know my childhood, and I've never had a problem talking about it, and I don't want you to hesitate to tell your story either. So I want to inspire you to
Thank you.
continue doing what you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
it's a shame that people that are born here don't seem to understand what they have. And people like you come here and just take make a wonderful life out of nothing. And you need to be that shining light to so many people and show people how to do it, and that it can be done. so many people, I think, get stuck thinking it can't be done, but it can be done. So
Yeah.
what exactly was the catalyst that made you tell your story after 40 years?
Well, there's a lot of not just the history part of where I came from Vietnam, because that's a part of the history that I think a lot of Americans don't really understand the life in Vietnam, even though the American have engaged in that war for quite a period of time. And it's just another part of showing people that the people in that war, how they live and how they've gone through after American withdrawal, after the war ended. That's when I become, I was 12 when Saigon was being taken over. So I was old enough to understand what's going on. And plus I am the oldest in the family. So I tend to know a lot more than all my siblings and, in my generation anyway. And I think it just revealed a little piece of the history. And then on top of that, we have our family turmoil. My parents also refugee to Vietnam from China, because my grandparents migrated to Vietnam as a boat people as well, running away from famines. So it's almost like a repeating history. And I felt like the Chinese diaspora, it just keeps floating from one country to country. And I'm hoping it's going to end from here. I hope that I never have to run away from this country. My son doesn't have ever to run away from tyranny like we were from China or from Vietnam. But I think it is important to share the history and the turmoil, because when trauma is compacting, like my grandparent and my parents, they never have the chance to unpack whatever trauma that they bring with them. So a lot of time, they meant well to raise a family, but a lot of time they still instill a lot of damaged belief in us. A lot of things that we didn't learn from the American, the freedom, the society about speaking your voice and do what you love and love yourself as a priority before you can actually pour to other people. So a lot of things being taught as sacrifice. You got to sacrifice your life for the benefit of your family. You get to, it's not a bad tradition, but sometimes when you keep draining yourself and you don't have replenish for yourself, you end up hating yourself. You end up living in regrets and wishful thinking all the time. So I want people to live like I am living at the point that I want to do what I want to do, because that, as long as not harming the people around me or my family, I have to make sure that I am part of that happiness too, because more often we were taught that your happiness is not a happiness. You have to make your husband, your child, your parents, you got to satisfy everybody but yourself, career-wise, personal-wise. So, I mean, it's just like there's so many things I have learned. We have to strike a balance that you have to be happy and you do things that, out of love for people, not out of obligation, because you're going to end up resenting it if you do that.
Right. Yes, because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not here to help other people.
Exactly.
And you can't fall into that trap of becoming a victim thinker, because that's what happens when you sacrifice
Right.
too much
Well,
of
you
yourself.
can't give when you don't have. So, so I want to
Good
make
point.
sure that I be able to stabilize and be confident myself before I can inspire any other people to be confident. And that's why, and in this book, I mean, I'm at the point that I'm confident enough to stand in front of the public and tell them what I feel. Because if I can't be confident, I can't really persuade anybody to be confident for themselves. So
Right.
that's why, the transformation of the career is, the message is you can make any choices of the career life. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how poor, how rich. I mean, we can always create our own happiness, our own opportunity. And
That's
I'm
right.
creating one right now. I'm transferring from, I was I walk away from a blooming business after 10 years. It was a successful business. My husband had a wonderful job. We both have great income, and we decided that we're gonna take a little time to find who we are and live with our passion instead of making money, because you can always make money, but time's gone, it's gone.
That's
You
right.
can't get time back, and we're not getting any younger. Every year we're just getting older, and all the stuff that we have to deal in the colder climates, like allergies, snow, shuffling, just like a lot of things that it actually related to our health, our mental health, and our physical health. All those little stress does add up,
Yeah.
and we want to go into a place that is peace and quiet. We can focus more on us. Making money is fine, but we don't have to make a lot of money. We just make enough that we can sustain our lifestyle. That's all we need, and we're happy. We're very happy what we're doing. So,
Yes, excellent philosophy there. So, Leah, tell me, what makes your heart sing today? What makes you happy?
oh gosh, I've just listed to you that be able to speak your mind, which I am right now, doing it right now. Not afraid being judged, not afraid of what my skin color, not afraid of what I'm thinking, not afraid of my background, my history, because all of those little broken glasses are making up a beautiful mosaic that I didn't even know that it's possible. But those little pieces of history is a piece of me. And I'm glad to share that. And it just makes me happy that I would be able to inspire anyone to step up and own their life and just do whatever's happy for them, so they can share that with their family and the people around them and in their community. So yeah, I loved. I'm not ashamed of talking about it anymore. I love to talk about whatever I learn, so I can inspire others to live a full and happy, purposeful life for themselves, build a
Right.
legacy, because we can't take anything with us. And this is the time that we wanted to pour out whatever we learn, whatever we have, share that. So when the day that we're done, we leave everything behind so the next generation can continue to pick up. And we go without anything, that without a cannonball that dragging in our legs. So yeah, I'm very happy with meeting wonderful people, because every time you adventure out to a new era, you meet wonderful people. Like that's how I meet you from the Speaker Association, and I meet so many beautiful story from different authors, different speakers, and it took them courage to get out. So it inspired me to continue to inspire others. I don't know if
Right.
that make any sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, do you speak mostly to women's groups, or tell me who is your
I'm more
audience?
comfortable with women because I think I'm a little I can speak to men too. If you read my book, you're gonna see why I was very intimidated by men, because I grew up with a father figure who was very strict, and for the longest time, any middlemen that resembling authority frightened me, because that remind me of my dad. But I'm totally make peace with that. I don't have a problem speaking with men, but I'd love to speaking to women association, because I think that is the audience that needs to hear my message more. I think women tend to be um, more of a giver, and they don't give themselves enough credit, and sometimes they don't replenish, and I think they need to hear more about how they should love themselves first. Men, I don't think men have a lot of confidence issue, men sometimes have the overconfidence issue. But I think lots of women are nurturing and mothers type, and they're always very humble, put themselves last on the list, and they put everybody else on top of their list. And I just want to encourage them that they should sometime look at the list and say, what make me happy first? In a sense, not selfishly, just, but sometimes you need to be a little selfish. You got to take care of yourself so you can take care of other. It's just almost like putting the oxygen mask on the airplane.
That's
You
right.
can't put it on your child when you are not able to breathe. So
That's true. Well, I know our listeners are inspired just listening to you, but I also hope they invite you to come speak at their associations and business meetings, and your contact information is on the rolling credits. And Lea, thank you so much for being on the show today. It has been a real pleasure having you today.
thank you so much, Diane, for this opportunity. And I want to thank the audience for listening. And I'd love to connect with anyone who want to connect with me. You can find me on Facebook, on my website. And my book is out on Amazon. It's called I Did Not Miss the Boat by Lea Tran. The paper bag will coming out soon, but right now
There's a client call right now.
I know,
right?
yeah. But thank you so much again for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure to share my experience with you.
Thanks. Thank you for watching Business Notes. We've been speaking with Lea Tran, speaker and author of I Did Not Miss the Boat, Memoir of a Vietnam Hoa Refugee. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.